One, two, three, and let's go live, guys. Great to see everyone. And for those who are watching a replay, great to see you as well. Well, today I have actually prepared very important topic for guys because I do believe when a man gets better, everyone wins. Well, of course, let me just mute this one. Sorry. So, see, the thing is, we may be taught that we need to please other people. Well, that's how we think because that's what the society says. But I actually said this: why there is this feminist movement and why all this nonsense happening? Because they are offended and they are hurt. Why? Because they need stronger men. And what it means, stronger men. Stronger men, they are confident, they know who they are, they know what they are about, and they are not manipulating, they are not controlling, but they are secure. So today we are talking about how to be more confident. And actually, I have prepared something. So let me just show the slides. One second. So I went too far. Anyway, guys, this is also the first one of the first sessions that I do. And remember, on Instagram, I was actually telling that the best way to do it is actually to show up and to do and to experiment. Because, and what if it works? And so many of us, we are like insecure, we are scared of doing actually, out of judgment, out of fear. But today I want to break those limiting beliefs and I actually want to encourage you and support you guys to actually do more. But not only I tell you to do it, but I'm doing it myself. So think about that. Some people would going to be scared of putting themselves here in a highlight, putting themselves online, and then someone may judge you, someone may comment something wrong, and then how will I feel? Knowing that whatever will going to be out the outcome and understanding that you're going to be able to deal with it, that's the first step to confidence. But let me go to these slides here. Tab. Done it. You see, guys, I have a screen here, so I'm just checking. Did this switch? 1 second. Maybe it's lagging. Technical difficulties? Yeah? I hope you guys see it. No, maybe you don't. Because I have another screen here where I actually try to see what's actually happening here. Let's hope it works well. If it doesn't, we'll still have a good session. But I actually want to show you because some people learn through visual, some people learn through audio, some people actually learn from practical. Okay, so I'm giving a second for it to load. Actually, if it doesn't, it doesn't. Then forget about it. I don't understand why. Why? Why? It actually shows. It actually shows that. Does it show now? Oh, actually, okay. Finally, we got to the point. Okay, so we got the sound. Yeah, we got the sound. We got the slides running. Okay, so how can I gain more confidence in relationship, work, in life? And that's probably the main question that guys have. I definitely have struggled with that myself because I was quite insecure at the beginning, because I didn't know who I really are, what I'm about, where I'm heading to. So what happened is I then kind of been in that fear mindset or lack mindset, and that fear or lack mindset leads to manipulating and controlling other people because we think that we're not going to get what we want unless I put the gun to you and you give it to me. Okay, and that's what people do out of fear, out of lack. But when you know that you're going to get it, like you're going to get, for example, the job, you're going to get these relationships, you're going to get maybe that respect, you're going to get the finances or the health. No longer you have to push it or manipulate other people into it, but you can actually leave it with confidence, say, look, if that person is not showing up, fine, you just leave them to be and you move on. And that's actually one of the challenges that I had in my previous relationships, where I actually thought, I'm not going to find anyone better than this. And guess what? I found. Okay. But the shift at that moment I didn't had. And of course, how I was showing up in relationships, I was showing up in those relationships as needy. And the same in work and the same in life. So it's very, very important. So let's go to the next slide. So today's outcome. Okay. So what today we're going to be discussing. So we're going to stretch your confidence and how you show up, because remember, how you show up here is how you show up in life, and how you show up in relationships, and how you show up at work. How you show up, it is how you show up everywhere. And some people go like, okay, what this guy talking about? I know everything. Well, in that case, you know everything, you should just do what you know. But if you're in a position like, well, to be honest, I don't know everything, but but tell me, teach me, and then we're coachable. Then we can learn new things, and we can actually, gain some new insights. Let me just check open the chat here. Uh, it says login. Anyway, so I'm not sure if I can see you guys in the chat. If you drop something in a chat, then I can see, because on that screen it doesn't. Just want to make sure that I see everyone. But anyway, so one thing is how you show up. If you show up, drop something in a chat so I know that you are here. Okay. And then the second outcome is create even more impact, whether it is in your personal or professional life. Okay. So these are the two outcomes from today's session. Okay. Just checking in the chat if you guys there. I can see some of you are online, but just drop in the chat just to make sure if it's working. So I don't see that interaction. But this is what I'm talking about, the engagement. Okay. So without further delays, so why actually you are here? Why are you here at the moment? You have the thirst for growth. I know that. That's why you're here. Otherwise, why would you even be part of this men's group? Okay. Because you are capable of more. You know that you're capable of more. And you may have the question, how to get more, how to achieve more, what to do. Okay. And we all have those questions. I have my coach as well, because I don't have everything. It's like I know how to get from where I was to where I am now. Hey, Carlos, good one. Okay. And then I know how to get there so I can actually help and support others. But I don't know how to get from a place where I'm in a company and in life to the next level. And we all learn. And that's why I actually create this community, this men's group, that we can actually share and learn from each other. Okay. And because you know that there's more to life than just settling with what you have. Maybe that's the work that you have, maybe that's the relationships, maybe that's anything else. Okay. And the fourth, you actually respect yourself. And because you respect yourself, I respect you. Because we cannot demand the respect. It all starts with us. It's the internal work that we do. And that's what we actually here are doing. We are doing the internal work. Whereas we cannot affect what happens outside of us, we can definitely affect what happens inside of us. And that's where the confidence is built. The confidence is not in the externals, the confidence is in the internal. Okay. So, how is it going to work? Okay. Engage and take notes, participate. Like I see here in the chat, Carlos actually is writing. Okay, why? Because 10%, okay, let me ask you a question. If you invest your time or your money, if you invest your time and your money, how much would you want to get out of it? You would not want to waste it. Okay, so how much would you want to get out of it? 10%, 40%, 90%. Okay, so if you actually don't participate and you're just sitting back, like a little bit skeptical, maybe kind of like I actually have a chair. Let me show. Maybe go like that. you know. So you actually see on myself, I'm not really engaged. Okay, why I'm actually standing here, because like I said, I'm practicing what I preach, because I want to show up with more energy for you guys, because if I can deliver better live session for you, then you actually gain more out of it. You see? And the same thing you can apply in your own life. Like how you show up, because I am here with you guys. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not doing anything. I'm just here. Okay. And whether you write down, take notes, I do that with my coach, and actively participate, drop in a chat, and we're going to have practical work as well. So actually also doing the practical work, because that determines whether you're going to retain 10%, 40% if you're going to take some notes, and if you actually engage and participate, up to 90% is how much you're going to retain from this session. And I want the best out of you guys, because I truly and really believe when a man gets better, everyone wins. And that's why I'm doing it, because I struggled with that myself. And that comes from a personal pain where I actually want to help you. Okay, so I have a quote. So the author is unknown. The confidence comes from not always being right, but from not fearing to be wrong. Okay, so here, me doing this live, have no experience in that. Maybe you can judge, maybe you can say these things can be better, these things, this is not wrong, or maybe my English is not perfect, this is my second language. Whatever it is, I'm willing to accept the fact that I can be wrong, but at least I'm gonna find out, and then I'm gonna learn and I will improve. So what is actually the difference between a professional and an amateur? Do you know? So the difference is professionals does less mistakes because they have done them in the past. You see, professionals, it doesn't say professionals don't do mistakes. Professionals do less mistakes. So how can you become a professional? And when you are the professional, whether it's in your work, whether it is in anything else you do, maybe in your hobby, like you show up with confidence that comes through repetition. So I want you to be the professional in that area that you have set yourself where you would like to grow and where you would like to build the confidence. Okay. So now let me share the screen again with you. Let me share the screen. Uh, little technical things. Let me just share the screen. Go here, here, here. Okay. Let me just check if it loaded. It has loaded in. Okay. And so the number one question that I would actually like to ask you guys, okay? What do you really want to feel? What do you really want to feel? Okay. When people want to be confident, like what do you want to feel? What does mean confident to you? Like how does confidence look like to you? Okay. So confidence maybe feels like that you can go with, shoulders back. Maybe that actually means that you can speak up, and that's a big struggle. That was a big struggle for me, especially when I came to London not knowing the language. I tried to approach some girls and I couldn't. And then, they say something, I didn't understand what they say. So I kind of was pulled back and I said to myself, never again. Okay. And, that set myself back. But sometimes we don't speak up. Maybe at work, we need to ask for the pay rise. Maybe sometimes, we need to set those healthy boundaries because someone is doing that something that really irritates us. Okay. So what do you really want to feel? Maybe that confidence is actually being free from the things that surround you, and you kind of put yourself around it. So I'm not sure you guys see the screen or no. Because it shows on this live, it shows black because I think there is a little delay. Let me see. Oh, okay, I actually see that. Cool. It's good. It's nice. Okay. And so the first one, the number one thing is what you need to do to actually build that confidence, yeah, and to achieve that feeling that you want is first you need to identify how are you showing up. How are you showing up today, for example? Because how you show up here determines how you show up any other place, and just by looking at the body language of the person, I don't see you now, but on the coaching sessions that we do one-to-one or group coaching sessions in the Zoom, I actually see those people. And usually those who have the biggest challenges, biggest struggles, usually how they go, they usually like that. Maybe they're kind of a little bit down, and because that's the way they're carrying. So the first thing that happens is, for example, you don't really see many teenagers running, and even people sign up for these Ironmans, they're usually like 40, 50, 60. Okay, my question is why? My question is why they do that, because that's their coping mechanism. Okay, and you can have like the coping mechanism could be drinking. Like, why so many messages? Like, I don't understand who's. Sorry, guys, for that. Sorry, it's I don't understand. It's like what everyone is messaging. I got a little bit distracted myself. Is that okay? Stop sending messages. Okay. Um, 1 second. Sorry, I actually needed to say someone stop sending messages. I'm live on YouTube because like one message, two message, like 12 message, and that's healthy boundaries. And I can say that. Okay. So first of all is how you show up. And maybe here I show up as like, I know what I want and I know what I don't tolerate. And I actually don't tolerate when people are always like bugging me. Say what you want, leave it. You don't have to send 25 messages. Just, figure out. If you don't know, leave it. Okay. And so how you show up, first of all, is the physical. Okay. And so think about that. If you go and watch movie, okay, and when you watch movie, then the question is like, you ask yourself, does that make me feel more powerful? Like you're sleeping, probably like feeling less. Okay. So if, for example, you manage the emotions, you go for a drink. So does that make you more powerful or like makes you more relaxed? Okay. So maybe you take some drugs or maybe you watch some serials or whatever. Then the question is like, does that make you more powerful? But if you go for a run and you ask yourself, does that make you more powerful? And remember, we come back to the point of confidence. Like how do you build the confidence? Like you don't build confidence by just watching movies, okay, but being out there and doing and practicing is how you build those that momentum, and that's how you build the confidence. And then ask yourself, like, even if you just going for a walk on a day when you don't feel like it, do you actually feel more powerful than just sitting at home in a chair? Okay, so how you show up is the number one. So first, how you show up. The second is focus. The second is focus. So where you focus, that your energy goes, but also where you focus is how you're going to feel, because your focus determines whether you focus on the problem or are you focused on the outcome. Okay, and the more you focus on the outcomes, the quicker you're going to get there. Okay, but usually 80% of conversations at work is complaining. You guys know that. I complain, everyone complains. But then if all that we do, we just talk about the complaining, then the question is, do we get to the solution or we just sit there? And also, many people say, I actually need more time. Do you really need more time? I remember in a summer back at school, I had these like homeworks that you need to do. Like school holiday starts and like 3 months off at school, and then you need to do that kind of one final task when you come back to school when it starts again. And usually the whole summer I would do nothing, and just on the last few days I would actually start doing something. And you see what happens is, it's not because I needed 3 months to do it, but I actually needed to shift the focus. Because when someone says, I need more time, maybe we are frustrated at work, maybe we are running busy, maybe we are, doing whatever. And someone says, like, oh, can you do that? Can you do that? Or can you make a decision? We say, no, I don't have time, or I need more time. But you see, if you just shift the focus instead of avoiding it, because what happens, I need more time, then what do you do? What do you actually do? Maybe watch a movie, maybe go out with friends, maybe drink, maybe, I don't know, do something else. But do you really get ready by more time? No. You actually get ready when you say, okay, now I need to make a decision. Now you focus on the decision. That means maybe we need to go hiking, pack the bag, get out of the house, and get ready to conquer the world. But that only happens when you focus. So what happens most of the times, well, people need more time because they focus is everywhere. Maybe they go stuck in like scrolling. I like, who gets stuck in scrolling? I get stuck in scrolling as well. Okay, so if I would say, look, where's my focus and what do I actually want, then I'm gonna get there quicker, and I would not need more time, but I would need to have the right focus. Okay, so where actually you're focusing, that's where you're going. And if you're focusing on actually the big goal that you want to achieve, then that's where you're going to go. And I encourage us, think about that, where your focus goes. So that's number two. And number three is the words. Number three is the words that we say to ourselves. Okay, because it really matters what we say. And I had a business partner before, and like she would like go all negative. I don't know why. Some personal things, but maybe something went wrong, and she's like, oh, you think that I'm inadequate. I'm like, I don't think that you're inadequate. There's something just went wrong. And then some people say, that really hurts me. Okay, maybe you maybe, like, to be honest, it doesn't really hurt. Like, what other people do cannot hurt you unless they're beating you up. Okay, so what other people do cannot hurt you unless they are beating up, because that's what they do in their lives, and the only thing that is going to affect is themselves. But now you can say, I feel frustrated or I feel angry, but then you don't attach the meaning I am angry, because when I'm angry I just want to smash the place, I want to break things. Okay, when I say I feel angry because the person is doing this, now you can identify that feeling and you can actually work with the feeling. It's like, but what do you actually want? And then we come back to the focus, and then it comes back to actually showing up in the action. So it goes the other way around. But it can also go in the wrong direction, where you go like, now I am angry, and now when you're angry, what you need to do, you need to go and break things. Okay, so words really matter. Okay, so instead of saying I am, because what you attach I am becomes your identity, and when it becomes your identity, yeah, when it becomes your identity, then that's the strongest force that you want to stay consistent with. And if you say I am a business owner, I am an athlete, I'm I am someone. So for example, someone stops smoking, and you offer them a cigarette, and they say, you know well, I stopped smoking, I don't want to smoke. Okay, that doesn't show confidence. Okay, and the second of all, they still think I am a smoker, I just don't smoke now. Okay, but if they say, no, I'm not a smoker, straight away, clear cut, they know what's happening. And then inside, now they are more drawn to be aligned with their new identity. Okay, but in the same way, it can be in the wrong way, where we can say, I'm not enough, I always fail, I'm not good at it, I'm not good at communication. Okay, so words really matter. Okay, so this is basically the foundation of everything. Let's go back to the big screen. Okay, so saying that, let's discuss each of these in detail. So, how you show up, that's the number one thing. Just think about that, how you show up. So, first of all, how to build more confidence. Okay. So, take care of your body. Take care of your body. Exercise regularly. Go to the gym. You know, do some cardiovascular exercises, because, weight resistance training builds actually your testosterone and reduces stress. Okay, so do some exercises. Like today I was, and actually we're doing now this challenge. Did you know that through a challenge, guys actually develop more masculine energy, and through acceptance and praise, girls develop more feminine energy? Did you know that? You see, guys need a challenge, because when guys get together with other like-minded men, they encourage each other, they push each other, and they bring the best out of them, and that raises the testosterone level, and you become more of who you're meant to be. Okay, nutrition, sleep, and maintaining a hygiene, and also when you feel good physically, your mental state improves automatically. Yeah. And when your mental state improves automatically, what happens to your confidence? Straight away, you act, walk, talk differently. Okay. Improve your appearance. And this is very interesting. You see that maybe you had that special shoes that you bought, or maybe that shirt, or maybe you dressed up nicely, went for that meeting or conference. What happens is, when you change the physical appearance externally, that also impacts you internally if you assign the meaning to it. Okay, and well, I'm not dressed up in a suit and tie, and I feel confident, and I do believe that, you want to get to the place where the confidence doesn't come from what you're wearing or the external things, but the internal, because, the external factors comes and goes, but the internal is in your direct control. Okay, but it definitely works, and especially if you're feeling down or going through difficult season, difficult time, change maybe the haircut, change your outfit. When you do that, straight away you're going to make that change and difference. It's not sustainable, but that are going to be for the time period. And sometimes when you're actually going through a really low season, you actually have to do the things that just makes you feel good, and that can also be just on the appearance. But also, when you look good, you don't have to shy away, you don't have to hide, because maybe you have holes in your t-shirt and maybe holes in your socks. When you remember when I was younger going to visit my friends, that was definitely the case. So when your physical appearance is in check, then there's less things to shy away and you're more confident. 100%. Okay, so here is a quote. If you want, you can write it down. Let me share the screen again to you guys so you can see this. Okay, see, yeah. So confidence is something that you create within yourself, but believing in who you are. Remember, I talked about the identity. Yeah. So just you can write it down, take a screenshot. Okay. So let's go to the second point. Second point is focus. Okay. Set achievable smart goals. Smart, no, small. Sorry. So set achievable small goals. Okay. So we have actually in this men's group, we have this challenge. We have this June challenge where we do abs, and this is day 12. You see, what happens is we as men, the more you do what you say, the more you trust yourself. Okay. And it is very important that you trust yourself, because when you trust yourself, then you're going to be more likely to commit to more things, because you're going like, okay, where I put my mind to, I know I'm going to accomplish that. Okay. But if you go like, whenever I make a decision, I never can accomplish it, then automatically you'll be discouraged of doing this, making decisions and committing to new adventures, new relationships, new opportunities, because you don't want to experience a disappointment and you shrink and you fall back. But actually, the way forward is actually taking up some small challenges. And it can be a small challenge like, stopping sugar for a week, just saying no. Sometimes the hardest thing that you can do is for yourself, like, look, I can say, for me, going to the gym, I've been going for years, is easy. But what's difficult is actually the diet. And that's actually saying to yourself no. Okay, so just try to get a six pack, and if you have six pack, well done, man. And also one thing is to get it, the second thing is to keep it. I'm like, respect, man. Like saying no to all the sweets and all that food is like, man, I want to get to that place, and I want to stretch you as well. That's why I said that we're going to stretch your confidence, a little bit. Okay, so set achievable goals. Maybe join the challenge, guys. You still can join the June challenge and start one day at a time. And there's like half months left, And then once you accomplish that, what will gonna happen? Okay, great. You're gonna get the abs, improve at least your appearance, okay, your strength. But also, what's gonna happen? You're gonna go like, I can do things consistently for a week, for 2 weeks. But guess what happens? Let's say you get married, you have kids. They're not gonna go away. They're gonna be there 24/7 every day, all the time. You don't get discounts. You have to get prepared yourself for actually showing up every single day, because what you do consistently determines your results, not what you do once. Okay, so no one has ever got fat by eating a cheeseburger once, and no one has ever got fit by going to the gym once. Okay, but what you do consistently is who you become. Okay, so set achievable goals, small, easy, something easy, and keep your word. Like, keep your word, and avoid deviating, even if it costs you, because then you're going to know that you can actually handle the outcomes. Okay, so learn to accept failure. This is a big one. Okay, so learning to accept failure, you can actually acknowledge that, look, man, I failed. Look, man, I didn't show up well. Or maybe say, look, man, I have problems with extra weight. But then guess what? You can improve. Because if you cannot acknowledge what's wrong, you cannot improve. And maybe saying, look, you know what, man, how I treated those people in my team, or how I showed up in relationships, I was insecure. Okay, whatever is the situation, I learn to accept failure, and I actually respect people who can acknowledge their failures. And I respect my father, who actually came back and he said, look, man, if I would know what I know now, it would be different. And my mom and my dad, they divorced. But you see that he can take up the responsibility and can say, look, I just didn't know. And we all don't know. We all live and we learn. But just go out there and take those actions, take those steps, experiment, and know that you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yes, you may be uncomfortable, but you will be fine. Okay. So confident doesn't mean you never fail. It means you don't fear failure. The same like now. I will put this live. This is going to go live. Okay. And people are here, and then people will be able to see the recording and they will have opinions and whatever. Okay. It's fine. It's fine. They have their opinions. I have my opinions. Let's go. Let's roll it. Okay. And then reflect on your setbacks. Okay. Without shame. Don't shame yourself. Just be honest. Say, look, man, I didn't know. If I would know better, I would do better. But that's what it is. I actually love I'm Christian myself, and I love this, that Jesus, when he was crucified on the cross, he was like this in pain, and he said, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they do. And that's so liberating. Even Jesus did know that the people who crucified him and did cause a lot of pain, they didn't know what they do. And if they would know what they are doing, they probably wouldn't do it. And sometimes maybe that's a breakup that you go through, and maybe the other person maybe dumped you, like it happened with me. I was devastated, but the other person didn't know what they do, and if they would know what they do, then they wouldn't do this way. And it doesn't matter, that doesn't mean that they're going to learn. It may go that they live their life and they pass away and they never learn the lessons, but it may be that actually they learn the lessons. Like my dad comes back and says, man, you know what, 20, 30 years back, and say, man, sorry. I actually went back to my very first girlfriend back home in Latvia, 14 years ago, 15, now maybe like, I don't know, 18 years ago. And actually, when there we met, and I said, "Man, I just wanted to apologize." Once I learned that I make mistakes, once I learned that everyone makes mistakes, then I actually I accept that. And I actually just said, look, you want to slap me, you want to throw a glass of wine on me? We were in restaurant, and like, I don't care. I'm not here to defend myself. I'm just here to say sorry. And well, that's a side effect. When you come closer to the God, you want to improve the relationships. That's just how it is. But we'll get to that later, to the relationships. This is not religious live. Okay. So develop skills. Okay, focus on becoming good at things that matters to you, professionally or personally. Okay, so just getting the reps in, just getting those reps in, you become more confident. Like I on Instagram, if you follow me, Peter Bowman 23, like posting reels every single day. It becomes easy because I've been doing this for multiple years now. So let's see how this will gonna go. This is my second live. The more I do, the better I'm gonna get at it, and then you build the confidence. And the question is like, where do you want to build the confidence? And also, if you build the confidence in one place, let's say you go in a football and you're like running, chasing, hitting the ball and hitting, like winning the game, and then you come back home, maybe that a fiance, your wife, your girlfriend is a little bit upset. You just come home, it's like, no problem, like, come down, come here, let's go have some food. You don't react to it, because you're a winner, you're actually winning in life. You just win the game. And now she's a little bit upset. He's like, look, like, I understand you're upset, it's fine, you can be upset, but look, man, I'm winning, let's go, let's celebrate. So no longer you kind of wait for the other person to bring the best out of you, because you brought the best out of yourself. But that only happens when actually you become good at something, and just get good at something. And in this case, I'm getting good at communicating, and doing these lives, and running the men's group, and taking this to the next level. Okay. And the next thing is, whether it's public speaking, okay, so whether it is public speaking, fixing things, cooking, leadership skills, um, or anything else. That can be, sports, it can be public speaking, like I'm doing now. This is actually public speaking, because this is going to go live. And cooking, maybe that's in a gym, maybe cycling, in any area of your life. Just develop those skills and get good at something. And also, if you improve personally, professionally, then you can translate that in money, because skilled tradesmen are always required. Skilled tradesmen are always required. But let's say if you are doing what everyone can do, for example, as a waiter, then you just go to the shop, to the coffee, not coffee shop, restaurant, and you're going to work for minimum wage, because whether one guy is bringing the drinks or the next guy is bringing the drinks, it doesn't really matter. But if you're skilled, if you're like professional or something, then all of a sudden the value that you provide increases, and with that, the greater the reward. Okay, the more value you can bring, the greater the reward. And that means you just need to man up, you just need to step up and actually decide, let me do this for a year, and I'm just gonna do it, put the reps in, and see how far I can get with it. And after the year, you can then decide, what, I tried it, let me do something else. Or maybe you find out, oh, it works, maybe I just needed to change something. Okay, so, and then the next thing is in focus. We're still in focus. Surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with good people, because you see, who you surround yourself is who you're going to become. Okay, spending time with supportive friends encourages your growth. Okay, because remember, you may slide back, but then they're going to put you back on the track, and it's like, man, what you talking about? Like, let's go, we are making a progress, let's go. Okay, and avoid toxic people. Okay, who tear you down and feed yourself doubt. you know Sometimes we just need, like, maybe that's a family and you kind of completely avoid them, but you can definitely limit the amount of interactions or how long you spend with them. Is that fine? Okay, you listen to them, great, amazing, fantastic. Okay, nice. Maybe we don't need to meet up tomorrow again. Maybe I see you in a half a year. Maybe. So it doesn't really mean that you need to completely avoid people. But for example, I have a friend of mine that, like, he's always energy draining, but I don't completely avoid him. But if he says, look, I want to do something, I say, look, I'm here, Sundays I'm in the church, you want to come. If he doesn't, then we don't meet. But I don't want to be on a phone for 2 hours just spending my time talking about completely nothing. Okay, or maybe what his mom and cousins and his friends back home is doing. I don't really care about that. Okay, to be honest, and it just takes away my time, takes away my energy. But if, for example, there's something that I'm doing anyway, and I don't need to spend extra time, and he can come along, fine, why not? Okay, and then this is a big one: take responsibility. Take responsibility. Confident men own their own decisions and actions. And also remember, so you may want to own the wins, that this is like, this because of me, this happened. But remember, also things that doesn't happen, it's also because of you. So own your wins and own your losses, because only that's the true power. And empowerment is like when you take back the control. Because when you blame, then you lose the power. And when you are blaming, are you confident, or are you kind of sitting back and a little bit in the complaint? Okay. So, we don't want to be stuck in the victim mindset. We actually want to go the opposite way. And the true empowerment is actually taking the ownership and saying, whatever we're going to be the outcome, I'm going to be able to do it. Okay. Okay. And then avoid blaming others. Avoid blaming others. Confidence grows when you feel in control of your own life. That's it. That's it. Okay. So here I have another quote. Here I have another quote. Let's show this. Cool. Whatever you focus on, you feel it. Whatever you focus on, you feel it. And let me tell a story. You can take a screenshot, write it down. You know, if you have heard it, drop me something in the chat. Just participate. Say yes. Okay. I remember when I was actually driving in a car, and I was driving in the car and I was feeling sad. And I remember I was actually focusing on that I don't have relationships, that I'm alone. But then later on in the car, I was actually going from Croydon to the office that we were renting in Bermondsey. Uh, yeah, Bermondsey. Yeah. Okay. And then what happened? I actually caught myself. I actually feel good. I actually feel happy now. And then I was like, how comes a half an hour before I was feeling bad and miserable, and now half an hour later I actually feel happy and excited? So what happened? Actually, it happened that I started to think about what I need to do. I started to think about my job. I started to think about things that works. Okay. So when actually you focus on what's not working, in this case the relationships or lack of relationships, and then you change the focus on what is working, all of a sudden you change the way you feel. Okay. So the third one, okay, we go to the third point. Okay, and that's the last one. Um, Practice speaking clearly. The words really matter. Many men knows confidence in social setting. They may shy away. I remember when I needed to approach the girls. I was kind of a little bit you know scared. I remember when I started, I had problems with, like, expressing myself because of language barriers. And I would approach a girl and then I would not understand what she says, and then I was like, never again. I don't want to put myself in the position. But when you actually speak clearly and you listen well, and then you speak calmly, slowly, okay, maintain eye contact, that is actually what communicates the confidence. You're not rushing anywhere. You're not scared, because you see what happens is, when we are scared, okay, then we try to rush quickly through it and then it's gone. Okay. But we can sit here, we can be here, we can be present, and that actually shows that you feel comfortable. You feel comfortable and you feel confident. Okay. And as communication is the key pillar for masculine energy, but communication is the key pillar for any relationships. Communication is the most important skill that you need to learn, because the way you communicate determines how far you also go at work. Because not always the person who is the most skilled person will get the promotion, but sometimes the person who has the best people skills. And in my case, it definitely was the situation. I used to work in restaurants next to London Eye. When I came here, I started in restaurants, and then I became a manager in three restaurants. But I was not the most skilled person. And when I got the position as a manager, I actually went to someone else and I was like, what should I do? So that means, like, someone else did know better than me, because the manager at that time, she had this, like, a right hand gal that they hang around all the time. But when she went on maternity leave, she actually put me as the manager in her space, because I was actually there. I was listening. I was always, supporting and doing what she says. I wasn't arguing, because managers, like, like, people don't employ employees or other people to argue with them. They employ so they could help them. Okay. So, and if she says push the trolley there, I just push the trolley there. If she says do this, I just do this. And then what happens, it builds trust. Okay. And the next time when something happens and something was needed, she would then, always rely on me. When the other person was kind of a little bit, making drama and everything, and the people skills wasn't there. So when I got the position as the manager over three restaurants, I would then go to that lady. She was a little bit upset that she didn't get the position. I said, "What should I do?" And she's like, you know. Anyway, she got emotional, but it doesn't matter. I got the position. So yeah, okay. And then self talk shapes the identity. Remember, as I told you before, what we say, I feel angry or I am angry, completely different. Okay. And that's okay that we feel something. We all feel, we are human. We can feel angry, we can feel frustrated, but it doesn't mean that we are angry or we are frustrated. Okay. So choose the words carefully. Okay. What you repeatedly say to yourself becomes your belief. Okay. So saying, like, I'm not good enough, I will never gonna make it, I don't know how to do it, then you set yourself up for not even finding the solution. But if you say, you know instead of, like, i I don't know, okay, you say, I'm looking for it, I'm looking for ways how to do it. Okay. Or I'm learning, I have handled worse situations than this, I'm improving every day, and we are all not perfect, so give yourself a grace. And yeah, so words, it's a big one. And if you can listen to someone's language, what they say, you can actually identify where they are, because words, what we say, carries meaning, and meaning that we apply to it determines where we focus, and that determines how we feel. And if you just listen to what person is saying, you can actually identify how they feel. So just pay attention to what words they choose, because you can describe the same thing in with different words, but the way you describe it is depends what meaning you apply to it. Because you know it's not in the word itself, because there can be someone who actually has said something bad to you, but it never affected you. Why? Because you didn't apply the meaning to it. Like, for example, someone would say, I'm a black girl. And I was like, okay, fine. You know, like you're crazy. Okay. I know that I'm a white male. Simple as that. Okay. If someone says you're not in UK and I know I'm in UK, it's like this guy's crazy. Okay. But if I don't know where I am, or if I don't know who I am, I was like, yeah, maybe I'm a girl, maybe I'm a boy, maybe I should be doing this, maybe I should be doing that. And it's already hard enough to figure out what you want in life. Okay, what you're good, and what's your mission, what's your purpose. But if you're then confused with your identity, then it just makes it even harder. And that's what everyone is doing. Like, now we live in an identity crisis, but just knowing who you are, what you're about, where you're heading to, already gives the confidence, because when you know what you want, you can then say no to things that you don't want, and that actually takes you the opposite direction. Okay, so I have another quote to you guys. If you want, you can take a screenshot or write it down. Okay, language creates meaning, and meaning creates emotion, and your emotions equals your life. Okay, so I'll just repeat that once again, because I do believe that's very important. Language creates meaning, and meaning creates emotion, and your emotions equals your life. Okay, so you might have a lot of money, you might have the best life ever, but if you feel bad, that's the quality of life. Okay, and then if you feel stressed out, if you get panic attack, even if you have money, is it worth it? Okay, so the quality of your feelings determines the quality of your life. Okay, so now I have actually one exercise for you guys, and let me just share the screen once again. Let me check that it's on. Yes. Okay, so reflection time. So what we have learned today. So first of all, I wanted you guys to participate. And remember, if you participate, you get 90% out of it, because when you invest your time or your money, you want to get great returns. And how much you participate determines how much you're going to get out of it. The same like in a gym. The membership by itself, do I have a membership? The membership by itself doesn't build the muscle. Okay. Anyway, so see, the thing is, but what you do with the membership determines. So let's say you're in this men's group, you may just be there and it doesn't change anything in your life, or you can actively participate in those coaching sessions, you can actively participate in the chat, you can actively participate, you take the most out of it. Okay, you see the transformation. So there may be many people, but not all of us were going to have the same result. So now this is your opportunity. So identify how are you feeling right now. So we talk about confidence. How are you feeling right now? If you want, you can drop in the chat. How are you feeling right now? And you don't have to make it better than it is. You can just be honest and transparent. Remember, understanding that we can also fail, and it can be, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling disrespected. I'm feeling insecure. I'm feeling scared. These are all valid emotions. But if you cannot identify, like for example, if I cannot identify that I have problems with my weight, then I cannot improve. So that's the question. Like, what is that feeling that you would like to improve? Because remember, you want to be more confident, but what does actually that means? And then that means maybe I want to be more respected. So that means I don't have, because look, if I want something, then I'm coming from a place of lack. So people who always say, I want to be happy, I want to be happy, they want to be happy because they are unhappy. Because if, for example, if I have a water, I don't say that I want water, then I just drink. And if I'm happy, I'm not saying that I want to be happy, I just enjoy. Okay, my question is, how are you feeling now? Okay, let that sit in. You can take a note. You can drop it in the chat if you want. uh, and then the next one is, how are you showing up? How are you showing up in life? Okay, maybe a little bit insecure, maybe coming out of fear or lack. That means we go into life is that manipulation. We go into life is the neediness. Maybe we go into life with the neediness also in relationships. Okay, how are you showing up? Are you showing up confident, strong, bold, or the opposite? Okay, where is your focus? Where's your focus? Where do you focus? Do you focus on the lack? Do you focus on what's working? And in my team, actually, in my company, on every Monday morning, we actually start, and also the coaching calls, group coaching calls that we do, we also start with the same. We also say, what is the win of the week? What are we celebrating? Why? Because it's an exercise. It's an exercise to shift the focus from what's not working to what is working. And if I were going to say, where's your focus? And maybe you say, I don't have time. Like that's what I say. I don't have time. You know. Okay. What words do you use? What words do you use? I'm angry. I'm frustrated. You know. I'm not good enough. What meaning do you assign to it? What words do you use? What meaning do you assign to it? Maybe I give a minute to think about it, and then we go to the second part of the exercise. And now, think about it. How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel? You want to feel brave, encouraged. You want to feel strong. You want to feel respected. You want to feel loved. That's a big one. Because so many of us are scared of love and we settle for connections. What if we would not be scared and we would be feeling brave and bold? Maybe we would step into the love. Okay? How do you want to show up? How do you want to show up? Like here, I'm fully present with you. I'm not doing any side activities despite these notifications that came in. Okay? How do you show up? How do you show up at work? How do you show up? Maybe shoulders down, or how do you want to show up? Maybe you want to live your life with shoulders back, chest out. Maybe that's how you want to feel, like a winner. Okay. Okay. What do you want to focus on? And just think about it. What would you need to focus on that would actually help and build your life? What would you need to focus on? What focusing on would help you to achieve the results you want? And maybe focusing on your mission and purpose, and being less sidetracked and distracted with things that doesn't serve you. Maybe you're stuck with like admin tasks and things that maybe it's not your priority. In my case, yeah. And when you run small businesses like I do, we get carried away with all the things, and there's a time and place for everything. But at least we have the focus and we know where we're going to go, and we get ourselves out of it. We don't get stuck. We don't stay forever. So what do you want to focus on, and what would serve you if you would focus on it? Just quickly say something in your mind, whatever it is in your mind, and let's go to the next one. And what words will you use instead? What words you were using before, and what words would you use instead? I have time for what's important to me, instead of I don't have time. For example, before we could say I don't know how to do it, we can say I am looking for ways how to do it. Or maybe say I don't have money, you can say I'm looking for partnerships or how to start business without money. And there is all these opportunities available, because maybe you have time, maybe you have knowledge, and then there's someone else who has money, but then he doesn't have the time or doesn't have the knowledge. Okay, so what's truly missing is not the resources, but it's the resourcefulness. And I actually like that story from Richard Branson, how he started the Virgin Atlantic without no money. How? he basically called Virgin Atlantics. He was like very persistent, and then he called them and said, "Look, hi guys, do you have any planes somewhere in the world that doesn't do anything?" And eventually, like it was like long chase ups and everything. There's a story behind it, but for to make it quicker, he reached the person, and then the person said, "Yes, we have." And he said, "Well, how about if you rent it to me?" And they said, "Well, we should actually have this conversation." But they said, "Okay, like what would be the price?" And then they agreed on the price. And guess what? Plane tickets are sold in advance. You don't buy plane tickets on the doors. So what happens? You sell the tickets, you get the money, and then you get the money, and from the money, then you pay for the plane, and then you fly to the destination, and then you fill up the plane, and then you fly back, and so on. Okay, and that's how he launched. Okay, he didn't have the money, but he had an idea, and the people who has the most amount of money are the most creative. The money follows creativity, because it's a limiting belief when we say I need money, then I'm going to do something. No, you just need to become more creative. Okay, cool. So what's next? Now that we have find out the limiting beliefs, what's holding us back, and we know where to get the confidence, we know the 3 steps, we know how we want to feel, why we want to feel, we know that we need to think about how we are showing up, then where we focus and what words we use. And now what's next? I just don't want to leave you guys hanging here. What's next? Okay, surround yourself with the right people. Surround yourself with the right people, because that's how you're gonna keep the momentum. So don't lose the momentum. Okay, so Jim Rohn's principle: you are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with. Okay, so just think about that, who you spend your time with. Okay, so 30 to 70% entrepreneurs who join communities, masterminds, accelerators, mentorships, often see 30 to 70% faster growth in business compared to those who go solo. And I've been going solo for way too long. Maybe you feel like it's time to scale up and just find a community. Maybe that's business community, maybe that's community with a common interest, maybe that's anything else, maybe just being here in this men's group and actually being active and being part of it. Okay, and then the second thing is, okay, 50% people who work out in groups or with fit friends increase their physical activity by 50%, up to 50%. Okay, but likewise, if you surround yourself with people who always in a community who always go party and drink, you may not even go without a drink for a day. But then you surround yourself with people who are always obsessed about the fitness, and then you're going to find yourself always like staying active. Okay, and then maybe you would like to improve your finances, and then you go and find place where they talk about business strategies. Whatever is the area that you want to improve, that community is where you want to be placed. Okay, maybe that's spiritual. Maybe that's just going to the church, getting planted and being there on a team and volunteering, rather than just participating in kind of attending and then leaving. That was my case. But I remember when I signed up for this Ironman, and I was just training for myself. But then once I signed up a triathlon club, I actually improved the swimming by 30, just because I was in the triathlon club and they were doing these group sessions, the drills, rather than by myself watching YouTube. Okay, 30% improvement straight away within a week. Can you imagine that? Okay, and Harvard study has shown over 80 years of research. They found that close relationships are the strongest predictor of long-term happiness and mental health, and even longevity. I was actually surprised. There was like one, whether it was a podcast or somewhere I heard it, that they actually talked about, how long people live. It was actually a book about savings, and it says most of the people now outlive their savings rather than they have to worry about dying early, because used to people live till like 30, 40 years, 50 years. Now we live till 80 years, and it was like, and you run out of money. Okay, so that's the biggest fear, that you run out of the resources before actually you pass away, because all the medicine, everything has advanced. But then there was the study that the girls, so the I don't remember the numbers, but let me just give you some kind of an illustration. So let's say guys live up to 80, girls live up to 83. Okay, girls live longer. But then it says people in relationship live up to 90 on average. Okay, so relationship definitely impacts the quality of your life, and like I said, the quality of your relationships is the quality of your life, the same as how you feel. And the quality of our relationships directly impacts how we feel. So just surrounding yourself with the right people with an encouraging environment can not only affect your result but also can affect how you feel, and that means affect your life. So here's what's next. There is link in the bio. Uh, Join the men's group. It's a free WhatsApp group where we have these live sessions once a month. I drop some encouraging messages there. If you want to take it to the next level, there is paid community as well. At the moment it's £15 per month subscription, and then we do two coaching group sessions where we actually talk face to face, and we can interact, and I answer the questions and I actually guide you and lead you guys, and actually that's where you see the breakthroughs. So these are the options for you guys. And just in case if someone is not online or not watching the read, I just wanted to actually share. Maybe you can just connect on Instagram. Here's my Instagram. You can just connect on Instagram, Peter Bauman 23. Let's connect. Drop me a message. Let me know what you thought about this live. Any comments, any feedback. It can be bad feedback, with a positive note. I just want to know that if I'm doing something wrong, how to improve and what to improve. Okay, so I'm open to everything, and remember, I'm not scared of being of failing. So guys, I encourage you, go out there, take the risk, and you know what, maybe you succeed if you try. See you guys. See you next month.